This man is a pathological liar. He doesn't know the difference between truth and lies. He lies practically every word that comes out of his mouth.
His father was with Lee Harvey Oswald prior to Oswald's being, shot.
Donald Trump alleges that my dad was involved in assassinating JFK. Now, let's be clear. This is nuts. The man cannot tell the truth, but he combines it with being a narcissist. Morality does not exist for him. Donald will betray his supporters on every issue. And Donald Trump is a serial philanderer, and he boasts about it. This is not a secret. He's proud of being a serial philanderer. Describes his battles with venereal disease as his own personal Vietnam. And Indiana does not act. This country could well plunge into the abyss.
He's not a war hero.
He's a war hero.
He's a war hero.
5.5 years.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
Do you agree with that?
He's a war hero because he was captured.
Let's not forget, back when he was shot down over Vietnam, he was offered the opportunity by his Vietnamese captors to get out of prison. His father was a high-ranking naval officer. And asked point blank, has he ever asked God for forgiveness? Donald Trump said no.
Undergone the prison experience in serving their country. I'm in the arena, as TR used to say, but in the case of many of our veterans, when Mr. Trump said that he prefers to be with people who are not captured, well, the great honor of my life was to serve in the company of heroes. I'm not a hero, but those who were my senior ranking officers, people like Colonel Bud Day, Congressional Medal of Honor winner, and those that inspired us to do things that we otherwise wouldn't have been capable of doing. Those are the people that I think he owes an apology to.
You are all talk and no action. What I've seen up here, I mean, first of all, this guy's a joke artist and this guy's a liar. You have a combination.
This guy always goes.
You have a combination of factors. He can't do it for the obvious reason, and he can't do it because he doesn't know how to tell the truth.
What we're seeing with Donald is actually the pattern of Washington, the pattern of Washington deal makers, which is they make promises, they break their words, and then when anyone calls them on it, they call you a liar. And so that's Donald's pattern over and over again. And every time anyone points at Donald's actual record, what he said on national television, Donald yells liar. Let me tell you something. Falsely accusing someone of lying is itself a lie, and it's something Donald does daily.
Go ahead, Mr. Trump.
He is like a little baby. Soft, weak little baby.
Cruz responded by posting a clip from the Austin Powers movie comparing Trump to the evil character Fat Bastard.
Come here, I'm gonna eat you. I'm bigger than you, I'm higher in the food chain. Get in my belly.
Donald Trump showing class and grace, Cruz tweeted, calls me a soft, weak little baby. Hope he doesn't try to eat me.
Donald, you're a sniveling coward, and leave Heidi the hell alone. All across the country, I'm going to tell you what I really think of Donald Trump. This man is a pathological liar. He doesn't know the difference between truth and lies. He lies practically every word that comes out of his mouth. And in a pattern that I think is straight out of a psychology textbook. His response is to accuse everybody else of lying. He accuses everybody on that debate stage of lying. And it's simply a mindless yell. Whatever he does, he accuses everyone else of doing. The man cannot tell the truth, but he combines it with being a narcissist. A narcissist at a level I don't think this country's ever seen. Donald Trump is such a narcissist that Barack Obama looks at him and goes, dude, what's your problem? Everything in Donald's world is about Donald. And he combines being a pathological liar. And I say pathological because I actually think Donald, if you hooked him up to a lie detector test, he could say one thing in the morning, one thing at noon, and one thing in the evening, all contradictory, and he'd pass the lie detector test each time. Whatever lie he's telling, at that minute, he believes it. But the man is utterly amoral. Let me finish this, please. The man is utterly amoral. Morality does not exist for him. It's why Donald is a bully. You know, we just visited with 5th graders. Every one of us knew bullies in elementary school. Bullies don't come from strength. Bullies come from weakness. Bullies come from a deep, yawning cavern of insecurity. There is a reason Donald builds giant buildings and puts his name on them everywhere he goes. And I will say, there are millions of people in this country who are angry. They're angry at Washington. They're angry at politicians who've lied to them. I understand that anger. I share that anger. And Donald is cynically exploiting that anger, and he is lying to his supporters.
Today you called Ted Cruz a liar on the debate stage.
No, he does.
What is it he said?
He does not tell the truth, and they make robocalls to people, and they say things about people that aren't true, and they come up with a lot of statements that aren't true. And
but isn't that just politics?
No, I don't think so. You have to be truthful, and Ted Cruz is not a truthful person, and frankly, he holds up the Bible. And I hold up the Bible as well as anybody, but he holds up the Bible, and then he lies. I think I deal with pressure well. I mean, I've won many club championships. You have to deal with pressure. You know, I deal with pressure. That's what I do. My whole life has been pressure, and I like pressure. I really do like pressure. But I don't think Cruz deals well with pressure. I think he's a basket case. You know, he thought he was going to win New Hampshire, and he lost. Not only did he lose, he lost big league. I think that Cruz does not handle pressure well. I don't think that Rubio handles pressure well. You saw that in his run-in with Christie. I mean, I was standing next to Rubio, and I thought he just got out of a swimming pool. He was soaking wet. I mean, so I don't think he handles pressure well. I just don't see him negotiate. You know, look, I don't see that personality negotiating with Putin like this personality, okay?
Surprised that Donald is threatening to sue people. He's done that most of his adult life. But this letter really was... Look, I've practiced law 20 years, and this letter really pressed the bounds of the most frivolous and ridiculous letters I've ever seen. He was upset about an ad that we're running on TV. The ad talks about the vacancy at the Supreme Court and that we've got issues such as life and marriage and religious liberty and the Second Amendment that are in the balance.
And it uses an old interview from Tim Russert back in the late 90s.
It plays Donald Trump doing an interview with Tim Russert where he explains in his own words, he says he's very, very pro-choice. He supports partial birth abortion, and he says he's pro-choice in every respect. But most of the words in the ad are his own words on national television, and his argument in the letter is running his own words was defamation.
He says, though, you're misrepresenting his current position that he's evolved.
It is quite literally the most ridiculous theory I've ever heard, that telling the voters what Donald Trump's actual record is deceitful and lying. And listen, what I said this morning, I held a press conference where I read his letter to everyone, and I invited Mr. Trump. I said, please, Donald, file this lawsuit.
You wanted to depose him.
And you know why? Well, look, that's part of it, is that in any defamation case, truth is a complete defense. And so his lawyer said that saying he's pro-choice, which actually we don't say he's pro-choice, Donald says he's pro-choice in every respect. When he stood up and defended impeaching George W. Bush. That was his position. George W. Bush should have been impeached. Listen, I'm a constitutionalist. My entire adult life has been spent defending the Constitution, defending the Bill of Rights. The standard for impeachment is high crimes and misdemeanors. He had no argument that George Bush committed any high crimes and misdemeanors. He just said on the stage, it was a mistake. You know what? You don't impeach people for things you say are a mistake. And at the time that Donald Trump was promoting impeachment, look, those were the views of the Michael Moores, of the extreme fever swamps of the left. And I have to say, to see on a Republican presidential stage a candidate suggesting we should have impeached George W. Bush, I think that really draws into question the judgment of that candidate to be commander-in-chief.
Which I appreciate.
For most of his life, his policies have been very, very liberal. For most of his life, he has described himself as very pro-choice and as a supporter of partial birth abortion. Right now, today, as a candidate, he supports federal taxpayer funding for Planned Parenthood. I disagree with him on that. That's a matter of principle, and I'll tell you.
You are the single biggest liar. You probably are worse than Jeb Bush. You are the single biggest liar.
All right.
This guy lied. Let me just tell you, this guy lied about Ben Carson when he took votes away from Ben Carson in Iowa, and he just continues. This guy will say anything. Nasty guy. Now I know why he doesn't have one endorsement from any of his colleagues.
All right, John, I
Senator
get to
Cruz,
respond.
pick from the buffet there.
He's a nasty guy.
Donald has...
Well, I think that Ted Cruz has been severely affected by the Goldman Sachs loans, which he didn't disclose, and it was on his personal financial form, and the Citibank loans he didn't disclose.
Couldn't that have just been a mistake?
No, it could have been, but it's, 2 loans, give me a break, okay? And he's supposed to be Robin Hood for everybody. He didn't disclose them because he didn't want to say that he's dealing with the bankers. Don't forget, he said he sold his assets. But I think much more important is this whole fact that he was born in Canada. And he was a citizen of Canada until 15 months ago. And there is much law right now, and a lot of constitutional lawyers are coming out. Lawrence Tribe is sort of middle ground. In other words, he says it's untested. But there are many lawyers coming out, top constitutional lawyers, that Ted Cruz cannot run for president. He can't be president because of the fact he was born in Canada. I think that has a huge effect.
When he gets scared, he screams, he yells, often he curses, and he insults and attacks whoever is standing near him. And you're right, Donald does seem to have an issue with women. Donald doesn't like strong women. Strong women scare Donald. Now, Donald is scared a lot these days. Donald is scared to debate. He ran away from the last debate that was scheduled because he was scared of Megyn Kelly and because he was scared to defend his policies. Listen, Donald doesn't know much about foreign policy. The day before the Brussels terror attack, Donald called for America effectively withdrawing from NATO. That is utter foolishness. It would hand a massive victory to Putin and to ISIS. That weakness and unilateral surrender is indicative of someone that doesn't have a basic understanding of foreign policy. That's why Donald is afraid of debates. Because at debates, his lack of understanding of the basic knowledge necessary to keep this country safe, those become revealed at debates. When it comes to the economy, Donald has no idea how to bring jobs back to America. At debates, that becomes exposed. So he's scared of debates. He's scared of Megyn Kelly. Real men don't try to bully women. That's not an action of strength. That's an action of weakness. It's an action of fear. It's an action of a small and petty man who is intimidated by strong women. Real men don't do that. And Donald is indicating the fear that keeps him up at night when he lashes out with anger. All across the country, I'm going to tell you what I really think of Donald Trump. This man is a pathological liar. He doesn't know the difference between truth and lies. He lies practically every word that comes out of his mouth. And in a pattern that I think is straight out of a psychology textbook, what else of doing? The man cannot tell the truth, but he combines it with being a narcissist. A narcissist at a level I don't think this country's ever seen. Think about the next 5 years. The boasting, the pathological lying, the picking up the National Enquirer and accusing people of killing JFK, the bullying. Think about your kids coming back and emulating this. When we didn't engage in sleaze and lies, and I would note one of the lies he engages in, listen, Donald Trump is a serial philanderer, and he boasts about it. This is not a secret. He's proud of being a serial philanderer. I want everyone to think about your teenage kids. The President of the United States talks about how great it is to commit adultery, how proud he is. Describes his battles with venereal disease as his own personal Vietnam. That's a quote, by the way, on the Howard Stern show. Do you want to spend the next 5 years with your kids bragging about infidelity? Now, what is he
dishonest. It is so dishonest. Then he took an ad about me, and he said that I'm in favor of Obamacare. My whole campaign is against Obamacare. And the only way I can fight it is I have a much bigger platform than anybody else. So when he does it, so it's such a lie. But what he doesn't say is that he filled out a financial disclosure form, personal financial disclosure form. And on the form, you know, he wants to pretend he's Robin Hood. He's going to protect everybody from Wall Street, big bad Wall Street, right? He forgot to mention that he's borrowed a lot of money at almost no interest. Anybody in this room would take the interest rate because he pays almost nothing from Goldman Sachs and from Citibank. Forgot to put the two banks on there. Forgot to mention it. And then, of course, his bigger problem is Canada. He was born in Canada, and a lot of people are saying he can't even be running for the election. So we'll find out about that.